Yeah, please come. Chandana?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, have I pronounced your name correctly?
Yes, sir.
Chandana is right?
Yes, sir.
So, Chandana, tell us about yourself very briefly.
Yes, sir. My name is Chandana, sir. I hail from the city of Hyderabad in Telangana. I've done my schooling from Bharati Vidya Bhavans, engineering from BIT Mesra, and management from IAM Indore. Post that, I worked with Deloitte for 14 months, and through UPSC CSE 2020, I've been recommended to Indian Corporate Law Service. I'm currently undergoing training there. My hobbies include practicing basics of Carnatic music and taking part in certain reading challenges on Goodreads.
Good. So, Chandana, India is world's pharmacy and Hyderabad is India's pharma hub. Why is it a pharma hub, and what are the reasons that Hyderabad became a pharma hub of India?
Sir, Hyderabad is known as a pharma hub today because of certain parameters. Like, it is responsible for 30% of total vaccines that are supplied globally, and it accounts to almost 30 to 35% of total general medicines that are produced across the country. So this is one of the reasons why it has been recommended by World Economic Forum for a C4 IR center, which is very specifically focused for health sciences. So that being said, majority of factors that are contributing to it is combination of one, government policies that have helped set up a pharma city where a lot of companies can come forward and a lot of incentives for the hub to develop. Second has been with respect to important entrepreneurs from within and in and around the areas of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana coming and investing that amount of money. We have seen even with respect to production of Covaxin, Jella family that went on to contribute there. And the third thing with respect to parameters is energy and water resources that have been provided for these companies, which are very important for the pharma sector.
Chandana, you are undergoing training and you have joined the Indian Corporate Law Service.
Yes.
Right? So, my next question is, you have seen this Adani thing that happened day before. Now, do you think in the light of the corporate laws that we have, especially in terms of financial market regulation, you think there is some deficiency and some flaw in the market regulation and something which is missing, which is resulting in these kinds of incidents?
Sir, very specific to first the Adani stock, which went on to lose almost 3.85 lakh valuations. It is based on market sentiment, the major factor here, and that is with respect to the report that released. So, in these scenarios, laws come secondary. The first is with respect to market sentiment and so on. That being said, there are areas where we can improve with respect to laws, and that is my perspective. And some of these help us understand where we can improve.
But when you said loss is secondary, see, people would lose faith in corporate governance. Cryptos have been rejected by RBI governor himself, right? People have no other choice but to, invest in stocks. So with this kind of lack of confidence, it may have, a very demonstrative effect and may result in, may harm the economy. Don't you agree?
Sir, yes, I would want to agree with the point that you stated that yes, this is of significant measure for investors, and traditionally equity investments have been put off as a risky investment in general for public, and such incidents further make it difficult for investors with respect to this. So this incident may be one step for us to understand how better we can look into corporate governance.
People were expecting that SEBI by this time would have ordered some inquiry, but it has not. Do you think that it will restore the confidence of the people?
Sir, to what I've read, SEBI has put Adani Group on watch in the last news article. But yes, based on what investors and everybody are saying, maybe an inquiry should be the way forward just for the investor.
Okay, I'll talk about the reforms which were made in Companies Act, Chandana. Just list out 4 or 5
So the recent
for corporate governance. 13.
Yes.
In 13 Companies Act 2013, that itself.
Yes, sir. Some major changes with respect to Companies Act of 2013 are, one is with respect to ease of doing business. That was very important. That went to decriminalizing a lot of offences that were earlier in the 1956 Act. The second aspect came with respect to corporate social responsibility under Section 135, which became very important with respect to companies and a certain criteria under which they must go forward. Third thing was with respect to auditors. Based on certain scams that we've seen in the past, the role of a statutory auditor has been clearly outlined, and what are their prerogatives. Fourth is with respect to board of directors and what are their duties. By providing a structure that certain committees have to be formed if the company has a net worth above so and so amount. And the fifth was with respect to bringing in NCLT, NCLAT, which were earlier the company board, to enhance the procedures and very specialized procedures.
Chandana, one-person company was brought in by this act.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are the positive implications of bringing this innovative reform? Very briefly.
Yes, sir. So, this is very specific to an Indian context where we have seen sole proprietorship models that have worked, where the problem has been that the risk is unlimited for a sole proprietorship. So, having a one-person company, the liability on the owner becomes limited, which is in turn helping such small business makers to take that route.
Okay. Thank you, Chandana. I pass on to the...
Yes, sir.
So, Chandana, you tell me that whether the modification in the Companies Act related to women director, has it been helpful at all?
Sir, I believe that it is a very important step. But that being said, we have seen certain challenges that have come forward after introduction of this. Very recently, the registrar of companies in different states have issued notices to a lot of companies because they are not meeting the prerogative of having that woman director on board, and so on. And there are also companies that are saying that we are finding an issue in finding the most qualified women for such positions. That has been what the industry has been stating. So we need to look at measures on how better we can implement.
General estimate is that family, friends, acquaintance, and people in the family, the ladies from there are being inducted, and not based on competency. So suppose I say competency should be the prime criteria, then how do we go about it? Now legislation is in place.
Sir, I can think of one measure. Like we have created an independent director data bank. In a similar measure, creating one for women directors very specifically might help companies in finding a director.
It can be done. Okay. Tell me about aspect of Rohingyas in India. Rohingyas are originally from Myanmar, but some have trickled down to our country. Can we not tell Myanmar to take them back? Are any legal issues or any other type of issues?
Sir, in this context, I believe that the UN Human Rights Convention, even if we are not an exact party to it, has the prerogative that we cannot send back a citizen without their consent. This is what I can think of in the first one. I will read a little more on it.
Okay. A state of Bihar is going on with the caste census. What are the pros and cons? Let us have 2 or 3 pros and 2 or 3 cons.
So can I just take a question?
Yeah, sure.
The pros that I think with the caste census are, one, with respect to how it can help in policy development and then policy implementation. The second is that this has been a long-standing demand from various sections of the society that have wanted it. So that is in turn making sure that the government and the people are on hand. But the cons here become that, one, caste in general, as highlighted by different committees over time, has a very subjective connotation at the level of citizens. And second thing is that the identification of a caste marker is very different. The same caste in one district might be attributed as a different caste in a different district, and that to Bihar being a big state, this might be an issue. Third becomes with respect to expenses, that such a caste census, which is very very time consuming and so on, would need both human resources and also material resources.
There is another issue, in fact, Sanskritization you have read?
Yes.
M.N. Srinivas theory.
Yes.
Because of Sanskritization, many castes are writing some other caste against their name. And while enlisting also, they will write that only. So that will lead to interpretation of caste data.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Chandana?
Yes, sir.
Chandana, have you heard of Yogi?
Yes, sir.
So, what is Mission Karma Yogi?
So, Mission Karma Yogi is part of the national program for capacity building with respect to central government civil servants. The program is oriented to bringing a change from rule-based to role-based manner, and this is to be done through various training programs that they plan to offer through the IGOT platform, Karma Yogi platform, where a civil servant takes it upon them to keep learning and keep upgrading with the changes in technology that are coming forward.
Do you have any suggestion for improvement in civil services?
Sir, I believe that I have still very limited work experience on ground because I'm in training. But that being said, I believe that there are certain important changes that are required. One is with respect to use of technology. Now that is being reviewed by all academies that are preparing students, preparing officers going forward, that how better can we use technology. And the second would be with respect to sharing of best practices across different services about how they are going.
Best practice. Good. 3 things that you could change in the history of free, independent India. What would those be and why?
Sir, I want to take a couple of seconds. Sir, 3 policies that I think I would have wanted to introduce at an earlier stage in an independent India for things to have...
Not introduce. 3 things that you change, that you wish they were not there. I have not... Introduction of new policy. 3 things that you could change from independent India's history.
Are you clear with the question?
Are you
Would
clear?
you like to be? Would you like him to elaborate further?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please do that.
So, question is, you wish they were not there at all.
You wish that some incidents which have happened in India after 1947 should not have happened. So you have to identify those 3 according to you. That is the question.
So 3 things that you wish were not there.
Sir, I identify these 3 things as one, the war with China in 1962, and the second incident would be with respect to the 1971 Bangladesh war, and the third would be with respect to the incidents and the aftermath of the Godhra riots. The incidents and the aftermath of Godhra.
Good. Okay. Okay. Now, coming to your own subject, can you tell me about some startups that have successfully been introduced and based on your own subject, chemical engineering?
Sir, I can think of 3 startups that have in this broad area. One is with respect to sugar, sir. So we have seen something called stevia leaves, which are very effective with respect to diabetes patients, and there have been certain chemical procedures and processes, chemical engineering processes that have been employed by certain startups with respect to stevia, which is health friendly and very diabetic patient friendly. Second has been with respect to renewable energy. We are now seeing small compact size plants, compost plants that can be delivered at house level for people to utilize household waste. This is a startup that is upcoming in this area. Third is with respect to hydrogen cells that a lot of companies are working on.
Okay. Ocean pollution. How to handle this ocean pollution issue? What all needs to be done?
Sir, I can think of 3 things. One, for ocean pollution, the first thing is about country coordination, because ocean becomes an area where different countries have different notions of a different boundary. So a clear coordination between different countries. For example, there is a Marpol Convention that is in place where countries are trying to reduce the amount of sulfur that they have in vessels. That is one. Second is identification of areas where we are seeing faster depletion of flora and fauna, or a lot of plastic that is being spotted. So these areas must be identified at the earliest for us to tackle those areas first before we move forward with a longer duration policy. Third becomes employing people who live in and around the coast, who can help us take forward measures to eliminate waste in oceans.
Okay, last question I want to ask you is on India's clean energy mission. What is it and any targets?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to exactly recall.
Oh.
Yeah, well, Chandana, what do you understand by ESG?
So ESG is now a mechanism where all the 3 parameters, environmental, social and governance factors, become very important with respect to a cooperation and how they are conducting their operations in a country or in a globe.
So, in what way they could be helpful for the companies and also beneficial for the society?
So, from a company's perspective, ESG becomes important. That one is with respect to sustainability of their operations over a long period of time. Second is that they have a broad vision going forward on how they conduct their business, and how that they are an important stakeholder and they are an important citizen of the globe. From the perspective of investors and general public, it becomes important that the places where they are investing money is going in a route that is ethical.
Okay. So, the CSR you mentioned was one of the changes which 2013 corporate law amendment brought in. So, and CSR has been doing very well. Just I want to know what is one major challenge in implementation of CSR?
Sir, a major implementation challenge of CSR has been that one, I just want to talk about one challenge.
You can anyone.
So a major challenge here has been that, sir, majority of funds that are allocated for CSR is concentrated in 4 or 5 states, whereas the rest 15-20 states.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Pakistan's Prime Minister had offered peace talks with India about 2 weeks back. So, what was the response of Government of India? Was there any official response to that? Are you aware?
Sir, I believe there was no official response. There was no specific official response, but for SCO summit, we have sent the invite to Pakistan's foreign affairs minister.
Can you name few schemes of Government of India where the good governance is quite visible? These are examples of good governance.
So certain policies, certain schemes that are working.
Name 3-4.
Yes, sir. One is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The second is Jal Jeevan Mission. And the third is National Mission for Clean Ganga.
National Mission for Clean Ganga. Okay. Now, my last question, Chandana. Honorable Minister, Home Minister, he made a statement about 2 weeks back that nationalism would be wiped out from India in 2024. So, what is your comment on that?
So, based on how it has been tackled till now, we have seen that the spread has been really curtailed, and now it has come down to 107 districts where we are seeing Naxal presence. So, yes, there is hope that we may reach that goal, and it is a very important goal to keep in place. But that being said, ground level, there are certain challenges that states and forces such as CRPF have highlighted, which must be tackled to reach that goal.
Okay, thank you.
Chandana, sociology is your option subject.
Yes.
So tell me, what 3 changes would you like to suggest in present Indian society?
Sir, according to me, 3 changes here would be one, with respect to investment that families would have to make in education. Not just education, but also vocational education for that matter. The second would be the change in mindset with respect to women in general, and how women, now we talk about Nari Shakti, how this has to percolate to a ground level, this change in mindset. Third is with respect to skill development. How skill development is important, that lifelong learning is very important for the labor force, and how this has to percolate in the society.
Okay. Talking about India's youth, in your opinion, they are moving towards westernization or modernization? And what do you wish?
Sir, I would want to highlight that westernization and modernization, though being 2 different things, we see that there are certain degree of overlaps also between both the processes. And we see that youth have taken attributes of both. It's not oriented towards one or other. In my opinion, keeping westernization and modernization both in perspective, I believe that youth also should learn to hold on to our own cultural values and so on, like traditions.
Okay. Talking about Indian economy, where do you see Indian economy in 2030?
So based on the parameters that have been laid out, Indian economy in 2030 will have a wider base, and also will have a distinct edge for also manufacturing sector based on the schemes that are in place, and hoping that they work over the next 7-8 years, where we'll see that manufacturing sector may increase its contribution to GDP. And third is with respect to labor force. So we are seeing that there's a progressive increase in the working age population, so that will significantly impact our GDP rates based on our investments into skill development and education.
In terms of GDP, where do you see roughly?
We should be crossing $5 trillion economy that we have envisaged.
Okay. And what type of budget would you like to see?
For the financial
year for this, right?
Sir, I believe that the budget for this financial year must keep in mind that there are a lot of global parameters that are also in play. Keeping that in mind, and also ensuring that there is significant expenditure with respect to social sectors, that they continue and reach the target as set out in national education policy and so on, with respect to education and skill development. And second is with respect to capital expenditure. We have seen an uptrend in it, and that must be continued. Third is with respect to ensuring that we still manage to be in a fiscal deficit gap that is enough and in line with what we want to achieve by 2024-25 financial year.
What's your take on India's present foreign policy? Would you advocate some changes to it?
Sir, I'm of the opinion, so based on the Indian policy that we have right now, I do not advocate any changes to it. And I believe that it is in line with one, the trends and the global situations and incidents that are in place, and second, prioritizing our national interests.
My last question, Chandana. You have already qualified for civil services examination, and your first option is preferences administrative services. So, why do you wish to become an IAS officer?
So, Indian Administrative Service for me is based on two of my personal experiences and one source of motivation. One was working as a volunteer with National Service Scheme in BIT Mesa, and second was my rural immersion program that I undertook as part of my MBA with the Madhya Pradesh government and IAM Indore's agreement. And my source of motivation, apart from these two experiences, which are very important, my grandfather served as an Indian Administrative Service officer, and that has served as a childhood inspiration for me.
Okay, one more question. Since you are also management graduate, can you differentiate between administration, governance, and management?
Yes, sir. So, management refers to policies that are in an implementational line. In a management definition, this is more about coordination and controlling functions, very specifically. Coming to administration, this starts from a very early process where we are outlining the policies also, outlining, directing, commanding, apart from controlling and coordination. Coming to governance, governance is not just about processes, it also includes procedures and people. These three elements together make the governance system.
Okay, thank you. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Chandana, single woman traveler from abroad is still afraid of coming to India for tourism purpose. Now, what do you think could be done in terms of, if it is correct, then dispelling the perception? If it is not correct, then what are your views? Have you understood the question?
Yes. Sir, I believe that travel for a single woman traveler to date still remains a challenge. So, in this context, measures that are needed will include one, about understanding the earlier issues that traveler women have faced, where they have indicated what are the issues they have faced, be it with respect to security or where they have felt that people are not cordial enough and so on. Some of these then become important for us to address, be it at a policy level. Second is with respect to coordination with those countries and understanding feedbacks, taking feedback very seriously in implementation of policies with the feedback.
All right. So, Chandana, the last question could be, if you feel that any topic, subject mentioned by you in your DAF has not been covered by us, then you have to point it out, and then I'll try to ask a question from that area.
No, sir, I believe that the board would have judged me.
You touch everything. All right. So, Chandana, thank you. You may proceed to the next room. We'll call you in few moments.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Avoid. Please come, Chandana. Okay. So, Chandana, how do you, first of all, we'll have your views, your own self-assessment.
Sir, I think I made a blunder in one question, and post that I think my confidence dropped. That's what I feel.
I know what it was. Towards later or initially?
No, sir.
What was that blunder you made?
What are three things that you expect with respect to
Yes.
post?
Your first one was good. Your second one was bad. मैंने भी लिखा है बांग्लादेश. India 1971 was, आज भी हम we sing. We sang. It was a slip of tongue, probably. You could not. The last one was also good.
So I was so worried with that also. I mean, I wasn't able, like, I wanted to talk about introduction of sanitation policies or education at an earlier time and so on. I didn't think about
Emergency, you never talked of 84 killings.
Yes, sir.
Sikh killings was a black.
You had to take 3 only. You could have not.
I was not prepared.
Emergency was a good this option.
No, here China was good. You see,
China was okay.
India could not face after China.
China
Then
was
second, of course, was then emergency could have been one. Riot, 84 riots would have been there. Godhra riots, you have very rightly mentioned. It was unfortunate. It should not have happened.
Yes.
Even Babri Masjid,
Yes, sir.
Chandana is a good event which can be quoted. And you can, this is something, if you just scroll down from,
But then, while scrolling down, you take your time because
Yes, sir.
there would be maybe 10 items,
Yes.
and I had asked for only 3. Then give an order, and then
actually she lost a lot of time in understanding.
Understanding the question.
So
there
Chandana,
I
the
just
lesson
panicked.
to you is,
Yes.
the moral of the story is that you should not put up a blank face. You must, can you please elaborate? I have not understood the question. Because it was not something which a person of your caliber would not have been able to answer. So since we are sitting together, so I knew, what exactly the honorable member is asking. But it should, पहल आपकी तरफ से होनी चाहिए. Member would not repeat again and again. That is one thing. So anyway, Chandana, we are very impressed with your overall personality, the way you conducted yourself during the interview. There are certain things which we will point out, what we have already discussed, but your knowledge is very good and you fielded all kinds of questions and very wide variety, and your communication was excellent, and your delivery, you were comfortable, you were confident, so everything was fine. And in fact, in terms of the content, you answered Hyderabad Pharma very well, especially when you mentioned about 30%, you substantiated your point with certain figures, which is very important. Even bulk drugs, Hyderabad is, making at least 40% of the bulk drugs, and they are exporting also. Companies Act, ICLS thing, you answered very well. Financial market regulation, it could have come from your side only, that these regulators like SEBI, and Adani was just an example. Basically, it was to how financial regulations can be, improved, and perception. So, single woman traveler also, it was very nice. And Companies Act, you mentioned all the things. 1% company, I'm dwelling on this particular corporate law issue because this will be your main, you will be asked mainly from this subject. So, entrepreneurship, one company thing, one man company will instill, business and entrepreneurship in a better manner. So, we'll have more comments from our members.
So, Chandana, 4 things for you. One is occasionally you become too fast to the extent of becoming unintelligible. So, just keep it in your mind, you will improve. Then second is that your hand movement needs to be controlled. But don't make a what you call lock-up like that. Don't do like that. Just keep it in mind, it will automatically improve. And third is that most of the time for answering you are looking down. So what you do, that you be aware that there is a board before you, and board has 4 or 5 members. So you look towards them, don't stare them at the same time. There is no need to stare at any particular person, but take them all into cognizance. Again, it is something which you keep it in mind, it will automatically happen. But if you look down in answering, then it will appear that communication will not be that perfect. So communication is perfect only when you're talking to someone, not talking to down below. So keep these things in mind. And one thing which we have not asked, because we are already in this service, that your role as solution advisor, because that is something unique, and that company is also very good in which you worked. So few lines about the company, few lines about your role in that company. Keep it ready. No need to lengthen that answer. If it comes, you should be able to speak one sentence on solution advisor and about 2 sentences to your company in case they ask it. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Chandana, we have discussed one item. You were very good personality wise. Your answers were just, what we required. Length was absolutely fine. Only clean energy mission, I thought it was a ongoing thing, clean energy. So
Yes, I will look into that.
you should have paused and thought
I was not
all
including specific-
solar, wind, nuclear, anything which is hydrogen we are talking of. So in such a case, when you are so well conversant with all the topics, missing on clean energy was little odd. Rest all your suggestions for improvement in civil service, even though you don't have experience, but outsiders' view was very good. Well done.
Well, Chandana, I think all points have been covered by Chairman Sir and honorable members. I will not repeat them. You are a very good candidate. I liked about your relaxed, persona. You are looking very confident, and you are in conversation mode also. So all the best from my side.
So, Chandana, I share the same opinion. And just one suggestion in the why IAS answer, it is better to avoid childhood and mentioning of grandparents or grandfather. So, it is better not to show emotions in the answer. So, better to talk on the benefits of the service, benefits of being IAS officer, diversity, and other things, rather than going for these 2 things. All the best.
So, Chandana, before I hand over to you to ask questions if you have, just a couple of more things. One is the same thing, grandfather. What you could say in that case, that and inspiration from my friends and relatives. That will sum up everything. Instead of referring to your grandfather, as he has rightly said, don't bring emotions into it. That's one. Number 2, you had to write on the pad, right? Now, if there is a comparison that somebody who is writing on the pad and somebody who is not writing on the pad for remembering an answer, the second one will be, considered to be, better candidate. So, as far as possible, you may be wanting to make your answer perfect, but in the bargain, it shows one of your personality traits that you need some help to, unless the chairperson himself gives you some question or something, some mathematical thing, calculation, and says, okay, you use this pad. I believe UPSC keeps the pad in front, but maybe it is not for remembering all that way somebody will start writing all the answers. It is a waste of time also, right? So better that you develop the skill of remembering, and for that the best thing would be to take a pause, and if you have not understood the question, be frank. That will not be taken otherwise. Are you getting that? And thirdly, just a suggestion, you have spent a lot of time in Jharkhand also. You are presently in Haryana, Gurugram. So please prepare some questions from these places also. Alright, some comparison or whatever. That's all from my side. If you have any questions, please ask. So my question is, how much did you get when you got in the last interview?
166.
166. Tell me, how do you think you have done today compared to 166?
Sir, it's normally a game of one question, so I think I made one question wrong here, so I don't know.
No, don't count the questions if they have gone wrong. See, the honorable member was only mentioning that it was slightly odd, or maybe this Bangladesh also, that of course was not the right thing, but not doing something is not a crime. Why he was saying about this clean energy is that you are such a good candidate that we did not expect that you will not answer this. Are you getting me? The expectations rise.
It's not a crime. We are seeing your personality. So don't worry if you don't know, say so. But by no means will it come against you.
So we have given you 71% today. So what you got 166 was, I don't know.
58%.
Huh?
166 or 160?
160.
160.
58%.
58%. You deserve much more. I don't know, maybe within a year after you have joined the service, you have got more refinement and maturity. Is it?
Maybe I'm a little, this time because I have a job on my hand.
It makes a lot of
The
difference.
backing of a job gives a lot of confidence.
I think that is helpful.
Or ek baar, when you get into IAS and sit on the chair of SDM and DM, then you will be a different person, Chandana.
Glowing.
So we have given you 71%. It is not inflated. You deserve this. And if a similar performance is made in the actual UPSC, we are sure that you will get 1% here and there. One cannot guarantee, because we have seen how the markings are done. You have also seen it once, but I would not erase your memory of the past.
Yes, sir.
All right, go absolutely, afresh and with all the confidence.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.